So I think I'm going to take one step back on the previous slide where you said, okay, you've got too much power, you've got too little power. At the end of the day, many companies, they all see, okay, we have to move to the cloud, especially with the whole COVID scenario we had now 2 years ago and everything, where companies didn't want to move to the cloud and everybody was scared, but should we move now? That they found out they had to. Now, when you move to the cloud, obviously, you choose whichever cloud environment you want to go to, and then you're sitting with the privileges. Now, on your local environments and everything, there was a way that you could give some kind of limit to certain privileges. When it comes to the cloud, especially with Microsoft, Microsoft believe in least privilege. That's how you have to start everything off. The problem is the design of the whole Azure and Microsoft 365 environment doesn't give that full-on limited permissions to do certain things. Now we look at if you have too little permissions and you have too much permissions, right? If you have too much, like you mentioned, Sadie, you're going to have some of the staff having access to something that they might break if they don't have the knowledge of how to implement it and how it will affect other parts of the environment. Then if you sit with a scenario of they have too little privileges, now you have, I'm going to take an example of your desk side support team. While everything was on-prem, they might have had their AD administrative tool sets they could install on their laptops or whatever, and limited to certain OUs and all those kinds of things. And they could only perform certain actions. They can only do reset of passwords or only this or only that. Now you're sitting with a scenario that all these little tasks that they used to do needs to go up to the senior engineers. Now, in any corporate environment, and that's why we suggest to most of our clients to use CoreView, is you want your senior engineers to actually focus on building the business, building your IT infrastructure, getting everything to a scenario and managing it. Now, it sounds silly, yeah, password resets 5 minutes, but a lot of the tasks that the senior guys are busy with, you can't just leave it, quickly go do something else. Okay, let me reset a password and come back. So that causes, from a top level, that your senior engineers cannot give full focus on building the environment, making everything better, easier for the business to run smoother. And you've got your local IT team struggling to get stuff done for users. And I've got that whole thing, I said it at a previous client before and I almost got in trouble, but he understood. There was a problem with a PA of the CFO. And I phoned the help desk. I said, I don't care if it's the PA or if it's the CFO or whoever, sort their problem out, because eventually it steps up. Now you've got the desktop support engineer. He cannot do a basic task for the PA anymore because everything's now cloud. They don't want to give him too much permissions, but that affects the CFO's booking in his calendars. She needs to manage it. And now what happens? So I always say companies need to give their staff the right tools to perform their work in a very well organized and efficient way. And I think that is exactly what CoreView brings to the party when it comes to your Microsoft cloud environment. So the nice thing that CoreView does is, if you have a look at the permission model of Microsoft, you've got these, here's a group, the role-based access control, like they call it. So this role can do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E. You only want them to do A and D, as an example. In CoreView, you can actually build up those permission models to only give, say you've got a person that needs to maybe share mailbox permissions. Do mailbox permissions and reset passwords. And that's all they have to do. Trying to give them only that access in Microsoft's native tool sets is very difficult. The nice thing, CoreView, I've never seen any tool set actually break it down so much as CoreView does, where you can go reset password, unlock account. And each of those you can give separate rights to. You can do that for the way that you create users or any attribute that you want to edit for users. Mailbox, there's so many functions of mailboxes you can do in Exchange, and you can break each of these down separately to give people certain permissions to do that. Now, what we found at our clients is that we actually save the business time, and we save them admin cost on a let's call it their business model and where they want to grow it and everything. Because now the senior team actually contacts us, say, listen, we're getting a bunch of these kinds of requests. Please, isn't there something we can do in CoreView? And go, yes, just ask us what you want them to do and who's allowed to do what, so we can do that. And the nice thing is you can even split that permission model in CoreView. You can create certain permissions to, let's say, for your service desk, for your desktop support, for your email administrators, for your Teams administrators. Because remember, the nice thing about CoreView, it's not only limited to what you can do on a user. It's also linked to Teams. It's linked to SharePoint. It's linked to more than just your normal user administration. And I think from a day-to-day administration perspective, if you have the guys on the ground by the people that actually need certain things to be done that can do this, obviously you want to make sure you give the correct permissions to somebody that have the skills. That's gonna make their life easier. And that's what I love about the virtual tenanting that CoreView brings in, right? And you mentioned about multiple tenants. The nice thing is with the virtual tenants in Microsoft, it's difficult to split up who can access which users. Now I've got a scenario where the administrators in Brazil, the desktop support team in Brazil, can only see their users that are in Brazil. They can only perform certain tasks on their users only, and as well as Teams, you can set it up to say only with these naming conventions or with this or with that. They can only use certain telephone numbers for their Teams calling. And I've got that set up for Brazil. I've got it set up for the Netherlands, for Germany, for all the different locations. We've set it up like that, and that makes it so much easier, especially with compliance at this point. I've seen globally that there's been so many companies actually sued for the breach of the compliance acts and everything. And I think that's where CoreView helps a ton. So what we've done for them is broke it up into OUs. So the nice thing that CoreView does is you don't only have to go by department, by this. You can even use an AD attribute that you want, and you can import those custom attributes as well into CoreView and say this attribute, if it says XYZ, create a virtual tenant for that, and even for the licensing models, right? Sorry, I know I'm going a bit off course here now with just the permissions, but it's got the granularity of splitting up. I mean, if we have a look at permissions, I know we've got some other clients that they struggle with their licenses because maybe there's an Africa country that's keep on taking licenses in Office 365 for them. And with CoreView, you can actually limit it so that they can only use X amount of licenses to assign to their users, which are in these OUs. So whenever they reach that limit, sorry, you can't use more of the other business units' licenses. And that's one of the things we also found at our biggest client, the pharmaceutical client, is that this helped to prevent the company spending unnecessary money and other business units actually using money from different different locations that they actually purchase that licenses. Because you can't you can just go remove the licenses from some users, but that's going to cause other problems, right? So yeah, sorry, I veered a bit off to the licensing side, but I get all excited about CoreView. There's two parts in CoreView that I actually like that makes it easier, right? So let's go on onboarding users into your business. So you've got a HR system that says, hey, this is the user, please give them this permissions or create this user for me. Now, when you create the user, it's not just anymore a scenario of just go click new user, put in everything in AD, because you want to also limit those access. Now you've got a scenario with the new way of working and remote working and all that. You need to create a user, you need to give them access to certain Microsoft groups, you need to give them, you need to allocate a number to them, you need to add them to a team and all that. But you've got a service help desk agent sitting here creating these, or HR system do it by itself, because CoreView has got a REST API that the HR system can kick off a workflow on. So you've got all these single tasks that you need to do usually to go add the user to all these things, but you don't want the help desk support agent to have access to it. So what do? We create a workflow where you've got inputs that you can literally just put in the name, surname, and you can choose. You can even make it that you can choose from a list of departments or what type of user it is. And let's say we go finance user. So we've got the name, surname, and finance user, and you go next. Then CoreView's got on the back end, whoever has got the permission to build the workflows for this new user creation. You will create the user with a naming convention that you decide it needs to be. It will add it to all the groups that the finance department that you chose, because you've got certain rules. If it's finance, add it to X, Y, and Z groups, and to these distribution groups and all that. So the workflows make life so much easier that you can, instead of sending a ticket to 3 different departments just to create a user, you can have the service desk do it. Or like I said, the HR system can do it by itself by just clicking a button, sending it over the REST API to kick off a workflow. So that's one of the cool things. And the other part you mentioned is where sometimes you want to give them the ability to do something, but you don't know if they've got the skills. One of my favorite things in CoreView is the custom actions. So with the custom actions and the permission model, I've built about 80 something custom actions that was specific to business units that they wanted. So they wanted to do, I'm trying to think, I can't remember which one it was that's not already in CoreView, but silly thing, hide from address list. Instead of giving somebody access to view the mailbox settings, going to untick that hide from address list and then go apply, I set up a PowerShell script where it can pull in the UPN of the user, and it will run all the commands to disable the users, like to be seen in the address list. So hide from address list, it makes it true. All they have to do is just go click on hide from address list. It brings up the users they are allowed to manage. They click the user, they go next, and everything happens by itself. No need to worry about users going in PowerShell, doing certain things if they don't have access to this or that. And I think that's the awesomeness of CoreView, limiting them from doing something, but still giving everybody the right tools to do their job faster. Everything needs to be fast these days anyway. So you know what, I would go put a tool set in place that allows your people to do their work and still give them the limitations to not break anything. When it comes to what I like building people, when somebody wants to learn something, tell them, right, go do some studying around it, check what you can do, and then go write your Microsoft exams and everything, and then I can give you a little bit more access to do certain things. Now, especially in that environment, I think CoreView is a pretty cool tool to do it, to build your company. When you have a certain team that wants to build, you've got a desktop support team, the one guy wants to go into Exchange Online, that's his passion, he wants to go into there. CoreView gives you the ability to give a little bit more access to only the Exchange portion, to certain users, and you can manage these permissions per user even instead of per group. So that's what's quite nice. And I will recommend taking this model of, you don't want that model of too much or too little, because too much is things are gonna break. Too little, people won't be able to do their job, and your business is gonna suffer under it. So my recommendation is get a tool set that can do everything for you. And I think CoreView is one of my favorites that I've been working with so far. The most difficult people to convince is business, right? Now, I'm not talking technical, I'm talking about the financial guys. Because what happens as soon as you go, oh, I found this cool tool set that can make our life easier, the first question is, how much does it cost? Okay. Now, I've worked in a bunch of industries with a bunch of different tool sets that do a bunch of different things. And when you go to business with this model of what CoreView can give you, you need to let them know it's not only a technical tool set, it is a money-saving tool set as well. And it sounds weird if I say that, but I've implemented CoreView not only for the technical part, but also for the reporting part. There's a lot of tool sets that can do the administration of accounts, administration of this, administration of that. There's not a lot of tool sets that can give you reports on your users, licenses, on your teams, on your SharePoint, on OneDrive, and the list goes on. And literally on each of those, you've got like 10 default reports already, and you can customize them, and you can have them actually sent out to management every week. Good example is disabled accounts with licenses. Now, you pay for those licenses if they're being used. So one of my favorite reports is whenever I onboard a business unit that we migrate to the cloud, and we say, right, this is what you're going to use to manage it. The first thing I show them is how to set up reports that can be automated and sent to them. So weekly, each business unit gets an email to say, hey, listen, these are all your disabled accounts with licenses. The next report is, these are users that have too high SKUs. You can maybe drop the SKUs because they're not using all the services that you have in that SKU. Now, obviously, you need to think about that before you just do that, because like we said, the compliance, certain license SKUs in Microsoft is there for a reason, because you want that retention on the data. So don't just go do it. You still need somebody to think how it works, but at least you see how much money you can save on that. And when I bring that to the business side, when I tell business, listen, instead of making your life easier and not having everybody wasting time or waiting, or people not being able to do their work, you can also benefit from this in seeing how much money your business spends. And the nice thing is, in CoreView, you can even put in the cost. You can put in, it sounds silly if I go HR cost, the office cost, but the nice thing is you've got a section where you can say, this is how much a license cost me per user, and it doesn't pull it from Microsoft. You can put in your value, because you've got different CSPs that give different pricing. You've got your EA agreements. You've got all those that have different pricing. So you can say, for each license of this is how much it cost me. How much does an active user cost me? And you can work out the space that it takes in the office, the electricity, or whatever you want. You can put it in. That gives a department actually a view of how much their users cost them. It's things like that business don't always think about. And then lastly, I usually go, what tool sets do you use at this moment to manage your environment, your Office 365 environment? And they will go, oh, we've got this. I'm like, okay, let's see, what does each one of that do? No, it does this. I'm like, okay. So all of those tool sets, and obviously there are still things that CoreView is building, and I see every month with the updates they put extra features in. So there's not one tool set that can do everything in life, unfortunately, not at this point. I'm hoping CoreView gets there, but if you can have tool sets that you spend $800,000 on a year, let's go $80,000 a year that you spend on managing your user accounts, just creating them and resetting passwords and those kinds of things. If you think of a company with 20,000 plus people, it's not a bad amount of money that you're spending, but throw that money away because CoreView can do it as well. Okay, what do we have to manage the exchange side online? What do we have to do reporting? If you take all those costs together, compare that to what the pricing might be on a certain package in CoreView. Who knows? Maybe it can save you money. And I've seen for business, the reporting side was what helped business the most, because they can actually use that to plan. And you can even use it to do KPIs for your technical team. It sounds silly, but I've helped customers set it up that way to see, hey, why don't you clean your environment, keep it tidy, keep it neat, and CoreView has the functionality to do that. So to build consensus, it's easy. From technical side, you say, listen, do you want to have the permissions to do this? Oh, yes, please, because we're struggling. We always have to send it to technical. Go, technical, do you want me to be able to limit the permissions only to this? Please, because this guy's always bugging me to do that. And then you've got business. Listen, do you want to make sure that your team is doing the work they have to do, and some of it's even automated so they can spend more time on something else? Plus, you can see what's going on in your IT environment. Yes, please. So when it comes to building a consensus, you need to just understand how technology can help business. And if you wonder how this can help your business, then give the guys at CoreView a call, give me a call. I can also maybe help explain to you how it can help you. But yeah, it's not difficult building the consensus if you know exactly how it can save you money. In my, it's now 18 years in IT, most people, I know there's a saying that says everybody leaves because of bosses. In the IT industry, people leave if they don't have the right tool set to do their job. Okay. This is why, for me, this is important for an IT team. It makes life easier. It makes it simpler. It automates a lot of parts. Like we spoke about the disabled accounts with licenses. That report that you run every week, you can link a workflow to it to say, okay, send me this report every week so that at least I know which accounts it is. And you can even, I know like I'm going to use an example. Sorry, I know we're a bit over, but I'm a quiet guy. So shared mailboxes. Sometimes you want to give a shared mailbox a license for archiving purposes, right? And a shared mailbox is disabled. So in this report that you send out weekly that says, here's all your disabled accounts with licenses, you can exclude if the recipient type detail is shared mailbox as an example. So it will only give that users. That list, you can then say, connect a workflow to it. Then you create a workflow that says remove all licenses from these accounts. Then you just get an email every week that says, hey, listen, these were the accounts that were disabled with licenses. We have removed the licenses. You know what happens if they shouldn't be removed? You can just go add the license back. Go into that report, just edit it to exclude that account, and everything's fine. So that automation also helps your IT teams. And I just named one example. There's so many, I can go on for days. But that kind of functionality that CoreView brings can save the IT team so much time and effort. If they can spend that time doing something else, making people happy with giving them new technologies, going to research stuff, building their skills so that they can have more permissions. but yeah, that's why I think CoreView is very important for IT teams, and having, or let's call it having the right permissions. CoreView is just one tool set that I think's nice for the reason and for what you want to do. Yes, there are others out there, but this is what you need in your company that's running a hybrid or a cloud environment at this point. The biggest problem was that the business didn't have the, how can I put it, the departmentalized of their accounts. That was the biggest issue, and I think the thing that helped us to get it all sorted, to know who can manage who, was using attributes and using something different that that your normal native tools cannot do. So if you can even use this to manage a environment that's not like super tidy. Okay, it's been tidied up after a while now, but that was the biggest problem, is how to split the we call it virtual tenants in CoreView, how to split it up and being able to manage it. One of the biggest problems that one of our clients also had was, if they have 2 tenants, how do they manage that? They don't want separate accounts. You can set up 2 different Office 365 and Microsoft tenants in one CoreView portal. You can just click drop down, select the other tenant, and you can manage it with your same account. And the nice thing is the auditing is very, very good. You can see exactly who did what to which account, when they did it. And yeah, I hope that answers the question on what the biggest problem was. The budget came from having a look at what their needs were, what they have in place at this moment, and have a look what can it replace. Okay. The biggest part that said, listen, we need to do this, was the whole permissions model. That was the easiest way to get it working, because there wasn't anything else that the client had that could actually provide that permission model like CoreView does. But to sell it, was the permission model reporting was very, very, very important, because that's one of the things that they needed, and then as well how it can save money.